Hello, I'm Todd Starnes. Senator Ted Cruz is now the front runner in the Republican race for the White House. But if you believe the mainstream media and the political pundits, Marco Rubio won the Iowa caucus. Just look at yesterday's news coverage. They marginalized Senator Cruz and glorified Senator Rubio, and that's the narrative. Cruz may have won, but Rubio is more electable. And yet the numbers in Iowa tell a very different story. 1 out of 3 evangelical voters chose Cruz. So did 4 out of 10 very conservative voters. And 26% of young voters, 18 to 29, they did not vote for Marco Rubio. They voted for Ted Cruz. The voters recognize a simple truth. Senator Cruz has been a man of his word, a principled conservative. And that is something the establishment cannot tolerate. It's not that the pundits and the politicos hate Senator Cruz. They know he can't be controlled. And that has them terrified. Now here to discuss the next primary battlegrounds, a personal supporter of Senator Cruz, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, welcome. And the big story for me coming out of Iowa, 64% of those folks who went out to cast their vote, to caucus, evangelical Christians. So was this an anomaly or is this something bigger?
No, and first let me just say my support of Senator Cruz is personal. It's not reflective of the organizations that I lead. This is what I see as the TED effect. What we're seeing are evangelicals that have been dormant in the political process that are turning out, something we've not seen in a number of years. What we have seen in a number of years is evangelicals have stayed home because there's not been a candidate that they can identify with. Look, the takeaway from Iowa for conservative voters: do not listen to the pundits or the polls, but vote your values. And it was the values voters and the return of those voters that put Ted Cruz over the top.
And yet, if you listen to the establishment, if you read the establishment pundits, they seem to want a middle-of-the-road Republican, someone like Marco Rubio.
Well, let's look what happened in 2008 and 2012, where we had that narrative being played out, where we had to have a candidate who appealed to the middle. And, you know, as I said before, there's nothing in the middle of the road but yellow stripes and dead animals. And so there's no hope for that for the party going forward. They ought to try a new game plan, and that is get a candidate that can actually generate more turnout. Look, he set a record in Iowa. We were told that they were going to go to Trump. That wasn't the case. The bulk of the new voters that came out and participated, 60% of them being evangelicals, they go to Ted Cruz.
And yet a good number of those evangelicals, they still voted for Donald Trump. They still voted for Marco Rubio. What's the appeal? What's attracting those evangelicals to guys like Donald Trump and Marco Rubio?
Well, first off, Marco Rubio does share a faith construct with him, and so it is a comfortable place for them to go. I do think that what you saw happen in Iowa is increasingly going to occur across the country, where evangelicals who are attracted to the surface level of Donald Trump and what he says about making America great again, pushing back against the political correctness, but once they drill down, they'll begin to see that they don't share a worldview with him. That's when they move toward Ted Cruz.
All right, Tony Perkins, thank you for dropping by. Tony Perkins with the Family Research Council. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Todd Starnes.